Imagine, if you will, a world where the winds howl with the ferocity of 1,000 wolves and the snow blankets the land in an unyielding shroud. In this harsh landscape, a child is born not with a whimper, but with a roar that echoes through the timber halls, shaking the very foundations of the Norse world. This is no ordinary birth. This is the arrival of a warrior, a beacon of strength and feminine might in the age of the Vikings. Gather around, dear friends, as we embark on a journey into the life of a woman who was neither a queen nor a myth, but a living testament to the fierce spirit of the Viking shield maidens. Before you settle in, if the tales of valor and grit resonate with your soul, consider leaving a mark of your appreciation with a like, and perhaps, if the heart calls, a subscription. And do share your corner of the world with us in the comments, for it is a tapestry of voices that enriches our shared experience. Now dim the lights, let the soft hum of a fan mimic the whispers of the past, and let us delve into the saga together. You come into this world amidst the biting cold of winter, the fire struggling to cast warmth, the air heavy with the scent of smoke, damp fur, and the humble aroma of boiled cabbage. Your mother, resilient and fierce, clutches a wooden spoon as if it were her sword, her face etched with the pain and determination of childbirth. You don't cry, you announce your arrival with a roar that makes the midwife drunk on honeyed mead flinch. Your father, a man of many tales who swears he's seen trolls and survived 3 raids, looks upon you with a knowing eye and mutters, "She's going to be trouble." The village nods in solemn agreement, for in this world your birth as a girl is a gamble. You're destined for one of 3 fates: a short life, a marriage of convenience, or if fortune favors the bold, the revered title of Shield Maiden, a role whispered in sagas and seldom seen. Your first bed is a repurposed goat trough shared with a scrap of wool, a carved owl, and perhaps a spider named Hilda, who has claimed this space as her own. This is where your journey begins, not with a gentle lullaby, but with the raw, unfiltered essence of a Viking life. Here you are, thrust into a world where lullabies are replaced by the raucous symphony of snoring men and the chilling scrape of an axe being sharpened in the shadows. Every so often, a hound saunters by, its rough tongue swiping across your forehead, a Viking baby monitor, if there ever was one. Your family, a curious blend of warriors and mystics, includes 2 brothers already reeking of battle, a grandmother conversing with spirits, and an aunt thrice widowed by mysterious training mishaps. You, the 4th girl born this year, entered this world not with a scream, but with a glare that could rival the fiercest warrior. Your name, a blend of your fierce arrival and a tribute to an ancestor long overdue for recognition, could be something like Freyhus or Brynhild, meaning, "May the gods have mercy on anyone who dares insult her." You endure your first night of feet not all can claim. The fire's warmth embraces you, the milk is still warm from the cow, and the lice ever, the prompt guests make their appearance. By week's end, your reputation precedes you. The village dubs you the Loud One. A wooden dagger meant for teething is carved for you. Yet you do not gnaw, you practice your grip, your tiny hands learning the feel of potential weapons. At 2 years old, your world is not one of gentle cradles, but a battlefield. Your first weapon, a sheep bone, sturdy and unforgiving. Viking childhood knows no softness, no plush toys, no pacifiers, no safety nets. Instead, you play with whatever remnants the stew pot spares. Your prized possession is a carved wooden horse, its leg missing, bearing the scars of your cousin's teeth. A pig bladder ball and a simple stick serve as your wand sword, and sometimes a tool for discipline against creatures smaller than yourself. Your playground, the muddy expanse outside the longhouse, a place where you share not just the ground, but the very essence of life and survival. Here in this raw, unfiltered world, your journey begins, a testament to resilience, ferocity, and the unyielding spirit of the Viking youth. In a world where every object poses a potential hazard, childhood becomes an adventure of discovery and danger. Sharp edges, flammable materials, and tempting edibles lurk around every corner, turning everyday life into a gauntlet of risks. Remember the day you swallowed a fish hook? The village erupted in cheers when it safely made its exit. Games in this rugged environment are not for the faint-hearted. Catch the Chicken often concludes with a few scratches, while Who Can Throw the Rock Furthest invariably ends in bruises. Even the seemingly innocent Raid the Neighbor's Firewood pile stirs up social unrest. Yet your favorite pastime remains ambushing your cousin, a game that ends amidst tears and the elder's exasperated cry, "Thor's beard, not again." Here you quickly absorb the unspoken rules of survival, share food after claiming it with a lick, never touch another's comb, and always ensure the chieftain's dog gets the first bite lest it take it by force. Formal education. Not quite in the traditional sense. Your classroom is the village itself. You watch your mother, her hands busy grinding grain and mending clothes, teaching you resilience and care. Your father, amidst debates over taxes paid in fish and the cleaning of weapons, shows you the importance of duty and argument. Your siblings, engaged in fierce stick battles and goat-lifting contests, inspire you to join in, though not without its mishaps. By the tender age of 4, you've mastered the arts of starting a fire, skinning a rabbit, and discerning when the adults are spinning tales. Your knack for sneaking and pilfering honey cakes, though frequently foiled, fortifies your spirit. Some children are meek and compliant. You, however, are the embodiment of wild energy, often returning home with dirt in your hair, blood on your tunic, and a burgeoning sense of pride. Your grandmother, with a knowing smile, remarks, "She's got the look of someone who will grow up to terrify men." You don't grasp the full meaning yet, but the sound of it fills you with excitement. At 5, you've grasped 2 fundamental truths. Fire is the essence of life, and everything else is just loud and cold. Your education, rich and real, begins not within the confines of a school, but in the heart of the village. In the stark, unyielding reality of village existence, formal education is but a distant dream. Imagine this: no chalkboards or cozy reading nooks. Your initial tutorial, a stern warning, do not fall into the fjord. The next, a caution against touching anything that steams. Alas, you stumble in both. Here the idea of school is as foreign as the songs of the southern bards. Instead, your learning unfolds through the timeless Norse syllabus of observation, relentless repetition, and the stern rebukes of weary adults wielding sharp implements. Mathematics, it's the art of counting sheep and spoons. Misplace either, and you're schooled in the real-life consequences. Reading, you're introduced to runes etched into stone, told they signify death, and you nod, committing it to memory. Your vocabulary burgeons rapidly with words like strike, bleed, and flee, becoming your everyday lexicon. Your mother instructs you in the delicate dance of grinding grain without sacrificing fingers. Your father, with a gruff demeanor, shows you how to wield a blade without trembling. Your uncle, with a fish in hand, teaches the anatomy of gutting, while your aunt, in a tone that brooks no argument, explains the theoretical art of gutting a man. In this world, baby talk is non-existent. Adults converse in their usual tones, whether you grasp their words or not. Adapt quickly or be left behind, both in body and spirit. Yes, there are songs, but they echo with tales of blood feuds and valiant deaths. You find yourself humming these during chores, your lullaby, a saga of a warrior whose ribs are dramatically extracted through his back, a bizarrely comforting melody. By the tender age of 6, you master the sharpening of blades, the tying of knots, and the subtle art of predicting storms through the behavior of goats. You learn to lie convincingly, pilfer extra berries with stealth, and hurl stones with deadly accuracy. Are you being raised? No. You are being forged like a sword in the relentless fire by people whose smiles are as rare as the summer solstice. Yet when you succeed, when you truly grasp a lesson, there's an unmistakable pride in the air, a fleeting warmth in the cold village heart. Ah, the claps of approval. They come not with thunderous applause, but with grunts and nods, granting you the privilege to repeat your deeds with a tad less oversight. You are no longer a child in the traditional sense. Rather, you are a pint-sized adult, shouldering fewer burdens, but adorned with an extra dollop of snot. Then, as if heralded by a dark prophecy, puberty arrives. It sweeps in unannounced and like a storm on the horizon, indifferent to your emotional weather. One morning you awaken slightly taller, a touch more pungent, your heart now a cauldron of inexplicable fury. Your voice unchanged, yet your words sting with newfound venom. Your face a newfound oil well could fuel a village's lanterns, and your sweat potent enough to fell a charging boar from 20 paces away. Welcome to the tempest of Viking adolescence. With the arrival of this new phase, your body begins to betray you in the most inconvenient ways. No comforting pamphlet or gentle conversation awaits you. Instead, your mother, ever practical, tosses you a scrap of wool muttering, "Deal with it," before she returns to the grisly task of skinning a rabbit. Your responsibilities remain unchanged, hauling water, chopping wood, cleaning fish, and wrestling with goats that seem to harbor a personal vendetta against you. Only now you perform these tasks with the added woes of back pain and a bizarre, inexplicable urge to stab things. This, they say, is the norm. Your training escalates. Wooden sticks give way to real blades dull at first, not for your safety, but because you are still too valuable to lose. You are urged to strike with greater force, to move with more agility, and never to shed a tear, unless it's from the joy of victory or the sting of battle. You are to fight the boys as their equal, and when you triumph, humility is expected. Yet you boast of only in whispers to your goat companions. Socially, the landscape shifts. Some girls now braid their hair with meticulous care, their eyes casting flirtatious glances at the boys. You too braid your hair, not for allure, but to keep it from the fray of daily strife. How strange it is, this new world where every change is both a challenge and a secret rite of passage. In the midst of battle drills, there's a fire in your eyes that others can't ignore. When the boys attempt to flirt, you challenge them with a simple question: can you spar? Most retreat, their courage faltering. A brave few dare to engage, but only a handful ever try twice. Your evenings are a ritual of solitude spent meticulously cleaning weapons, savoring the warmth of stew, and consciously steering your thoughts away from the murky waters of your future. Dreams of weddings or fine silk tunics do not haunt your sleep. Instead, you envision yourself standing in the shield wall, shoulder to shoulder, with warriors who never question your strength or resolve. You are on the cusp of earning your place among them. And when you catch your reflection in the blacksmith's shield eyes, ablaze hair, untamed arms marked by bruises, you no longer see a mere girl. No, you see a force to be reckoned with, a palpable threat. At 12 in the eyes of the Viking world, you are nearly an adult, old enough to wield steel and potentially seal your fate. On your birthday, your father presents you with a gift, long and shrouded in cloth, its weight heavy and its touch cold. With care, you unwrap it, half expecting something mundane like a broom or a stale loaf of bread. But what lies before you is an axe, its blade of iron handle wrapped in leather, sharp enough to cleave through logs' bones, or perhaps the fragile egos of those who doubt you. You name it instantly, not out of sentimentality, but because naming it feels like a way to tame its wild nature. You choose a name that strikes fear, perhaps wolf biter or mittens. Eager to test your new companion, you step outside. Your first swing misses the mark entirely, nearly demolishing the fence. The second swing, however, finds its unintended target, your own foot. There are no tears, only a silent contemplation of whether this mishap is a rite of passage or simply a grave misstep with a sharp edge. Your uncle, with a chuckle, wraps your toe, his laughter echoing the lesson that this is how one learns. He offers you a pig's ear, which you decline with a dignified shake of your head. The following weeks are... The journey of mastering the axe is fraught with trials, a path littered with more mistakes than successes. You hone your skills on logs, hay dummies, and the ever-leaning training post, each off-center strike, nudging it further from its original stance. Your technique refines, your self-assurance blossoms, yet your foot still throbs with the memory of early missteps. You master the art of oiling the handle, sharpening the blade, and executing a swing that doesn't contort your back like a seasoned drunk attempting a waltz. You train until your hands blister, then push through the pain until those blisters harden into calluses. There are solitary sessions where you grapple with the weight of the axe, and others where your cousin, 2 years your senior, insists on twirling theatrically before each strike, as if to entertain gods who are surely indifferent. Then comes the day you deflect a blow, swiftly counter, and land a solid hit to your opponent's ribs. They drop their weapon, mumbling something about seeing stars. You don't revel in your victory, but that night you place your axe by your bedside, not for show or tradition, but as a silent sentinel against any who might mistake your resolve for weakness. This isn't merely about learning to fight. It's about discovering your innate strength, realizing you were forged for battle. It all begins as many misguided adventures do with words carelessly spoken. At training, you stand axe in hand, focused on your own business. When a boy, taller, more cocksure, and buoyed by a recent sparring victory, challenges you with a sneer. Are you sure you want to fight? Wouldn't want to break a nail. You don't dignify his taunt with words. Instead, you step confidently into the ring, nod to the instructor, embrace yourself. The boy smirks, already turning to bask in the applause of his friends, one of whom whispers, "Go easy on her." But you show no mercy. Your first strike is parried, the second just grazes. Your third blow, a powerful punch, lands squarely in the center of his chest, the force of it sending him reeling, his breath escaping in a strangled goose-like honk. He staggers trying to recover, but you are relentless. With a swift duck under his swinging arm, you sweep his legs out from under him, sending him sprawling into the mud with a thud that echoes your heart's triumphant beat. He struggles to rise, his pride as muddy as his clothes. You stand over him, your foot firmly planted on his chest, halting his every attempt to get up. The world around you falls silent. The boys, once rowdy and cheering, now watch in stunned reverence. The instructor clears his throat, a sound that seems to punctuate the moment. Even the goats at the field's edge appear to nod in approval. With the grace of a warrior, you step back, tossing your braid over your shoulder like a banner of victory, and stride away without a glance back. The boy, coughing and muttering what might have been a concession, hobbles off to nurse his bruises and his battered ego. Later, an elder corners you. Bracing for a reprimand, you're instead met with a gruff, "Good footwork," which in the stoic language of your people might as well be a roaring applause. Your mother acknowledges you with a subtle nod, while your father, with a single raised eyebrow, serves you an extra helping of dried fish at dinner, a Viking's ovation. For days, the boy avoids your gaze, but when he finally does meet your eyes, it's with the wary respect one might reserve for a bear they've unwittingly prodded. That day, you learn a lesson as profound as the bruises you've inflicted. You don't need to shout to make your presence known. You don't need to smile to earn respect. And you certainly don't owe an apology for someone else's underestimation. Victory, you realize, carries the scent of sweat earth and the slightly overcooked stew from the communal pot. This memory, vivid and raw, will stay with you. There are no ceremonies, no mystical signs, no prophecies. Just a cracked shield, a split lip, and an old warrior's grunt of acknowledgement. She's ready. You've spent years preparing for this training in the art of combat, sweating under the sun and stars, and now here you stand, a testament to resilience and strength. The journey of earning each bruise as a testament to your valor has transformed you. Every morning you rise to the sound of battle cries, and each night you succumb to the exhaustion, feeling soreness in muscles you never knew you had. Now you can distinguish injuries not just by their appearance, but by the unique symphony of pain. They sing the sprain's dull throb, the bruise's sharp sting, and even the ego's bruised silence. The memory of your grandmother pinning you in a wrestling match still lingers, a bruise on your pride. Your hair, once merely a matter of style, now serves a practical purpose. Braided for combat, you secure it tightly to prevent it from catching in your helmet or being grasped by an opponent with questionable tactics. While some might adorn their braids with beads, yours is interwoven with leather and teeth trophies, perhaps from those who underestimated you. The essence of your training has evolved. It's no longer about merely wielding an axe, but about maintaining composure when your life is on the line. You spar with seasoned warriors, each clash a test of your mettle. No quarter is given, nor do you seek it. Hesitation, you have learned, is more costly than any physical pain. It's a currency of respect you cannot afford to lose. Your shield arm, now more formidable than your dominant, is a testament to your relentless spirit. Your hands, always encased in leather or marked by scabs, are the hands of a warrior who does not merely fight, but endures. In one unforgettable sparring session, your shield, your steadfast companion, shatters under a colossal strike from a giant of a man. As splinters dance through the air, you cast aside the broken shield and continue the fight, barehanded, bloodied, driven by a fierce resolve. Though you do not win, your performance etches itself into the lore of your people. The elders who once saw you as a child to be guided now speak your name with a reverence reserved for true warriors. No one declares you a shield maiden outright, but their sidelong glances have transformed into nods of acknowledgement as you take your rightful place in the shield wall. You've become more than a fighter. You've become a symbol of resilience and tenacity. And as you stand there amidst the clamor of battle, you can't help but wonder, what battles will we fight next, and what stories will they tell of us? As the journey begins, you stand not merely a shield maiden, but a beacon of resilience, your braid and battle scars telling tales of trials overcome. You've ascended from the ordinary to the extraordinary, becoming the one others glance at in moments of chaos, seeking guidance and strength. But the moment you step onto the longship, a pang of regret slices through your resolve. The deck, slick with sea spray, seems to mock your every step, while the wind, impudent and cold, slaps against your face. The rowing bench beneath you isn't just uncomfortable, it's an affront to your very bones. Packed in like salted herring, you're elbow to elbow with warriors who reek of leather, long worn, and optimism long lost. There's no room to call your own. Shift to the left, your knee nudges an axe. Shift to the right, a sneeze graces your hair. Above, a seagull's screech pierces the air, a derisive commentary on your life's trajectory. Rowing far from the heroic saga you envisioned feels like a relentless corporal punishment, a grueling penance for the sin of ambition. By mid-morning, your hands are not just blistered, they're an inferno of pain. By noon, those blisters have developed their own blisters, your palms now reminiscent of cheese grated on a harsh grater. You're doing it right, they say, but what is right when every stroke feels like a step towards glory and a leap towards tendinitis? The meals aboard are a somber affair, dried fish tasting of the helmet's interior, hard bread that could serve as a club, and water that's only water if you're feeling generous. Each bite is a slow, deliberate act, each chew a moment to ponder the folly of rebellion. At night, you curl against the ship's hull, your shield a makeshift blanket, your axe a pillow. The gentle rocking of the ship, the cacophony of snoring crewmates, and the nagging suspicion that this voyage was orchestrated by someone with a profound disdain for joy envelop you. Yet in this moment, amidst the hardship, a peculiar peace settles, a whisper of the adventure to come, of the stories yet to be etched into your very soul. Amidst the biting cold, the relentless dampness, and the sting of pain, there's another sensation that courses through your veins as exhilarating as the open sea itself. It's the unspoken bond of brotherhood with the crew, the silent acknowledgement that you indeed belong here. You've earned your place not as a mere follower or a token figure, but as a true warrior. Warriors row and you row with them. When the distant shore emerges, a shadowy, mysterious line against the horizon, your hands throb, your shoulders scream in protest, and your heart thumps with eager anticipation. You are weary, ravenous, slightly seasick, yet utterly prepared. For this boat is more than a vessel. It's a crucible where you will be tempered, molded into something stronger. The coastline unveils itself like a secret whispered only to those who dare to listen. A tranquil village with thatched roofs, gentle smoke curling from chimneys, where chickens roam, and perhaps a hopeful goat or a baker thrives. Yet you are here to shatter this peace. As your longship kisses the shore, a visceral panic grips you, not from guilt, but from the stark realization this is your first raid. Real steel, real adversaries, and real peril if you stumble in the mud and inadvertently harm yourself before the enemy even has the chance. You step onto the beach, soft and treacherous underfoot, nearly twisting an ankle before you even reach the village. Battle cries fill the air, raw, primal, and mostly improvised. Your own cry, a sound more akin to a goat's cough, is embarrassingly feeble. No matter you're new at this, you charge forward. Your first adversary, surprisingly, is not a warrior, but a chicken aggressively flapping as if it has a point to prove. You sidestep clumsily, swinging your weapon at a man with a pitchfork who promptly drops it and flees. You pursue for a moment before recalling your true purpose here looting. You break into a storage hut, discovering an abundance of cheese. You seize some feeling as though this simple act is your first taste of victory. Amid the cacophony of chaos where shouting pierces the air and flames dance wildly, a scene unfolds that could only be described as bewildering. Imagine tripping over a bucket, then hearing an inexplicable burst into song amidst the tumult. A warrior beside you, invoking Odin's name, loses his footing and plunges into a well. In these moments, you grasp the dual nature of Viking raids, feared for their ferocity yet deeply confounding in their execution. Gradually, the clamor of resistance wanes, leaving the village subdued, or more accurately, scorched and plundered. Your crew, with pragmatic efficiency, gathers the spoils, silver tools, livestock, even a remarkably fine stool. You make your way back to the boat, your steps heavy with a bruised shin, a pilfered spoon, and a half-wheel of cheese in hand. This is not the heroic saga you envisioned. No epic speeches, just the raw pulse of adrenaline, the clamor of noise, and a dawning realization that perhaps your voice was raised in a continuous scream throughout the ordeal. Yet here you stand alive, having held your ground. Despite the lingering stench of goat panic on your tunic and the persistent ringing in your ears, you sense it, the unspoken thrill, the deep-seated certainty, the raw power that the older warriors whisper about in hushed tones around the fire. You didn't merely endure your first raid, you were an active participant. And you know with a quiet resolve that next time you will excel. The village fades into the distance, a smoldering, bewildered shell of its former self. Back on the longship, you slump over your oar, the scent of grilled anxiety and damp regret clinging to you. Your tunic is ripped, your boots caked in mud, and a cut on your shoulder, unnoticed until now, promises a fine scar. "That'll scar nicely," someone remarks with a grin, as if offering a medical prophecy rather than advice. Your hands are blistered, your thighs cramp, and inexplicably a chicken feather is lodged in your braid. Whether from combat or a hurried meal, you're not certain. The journey back is quieter. The shouts replaced by the rhythmic splash of oars and the soft, reflective murmurs of warriors contemplating their deeds. As the firelight dances in your eyes, the sounds of the camp fill the air. A cacophony of groans, the rhythmic chewing of hard bread, and the occasional sarcastic recounting of mishaps. One warrior boasts, "I single-handedly fended off 5 armed villagers." His tale more heroic than the truth goes unchallenged. After all, you saw him drop his sword into a puddle, his face a mask of despair. No one corrects him. He needs this victory, however small. Food circulates among the weary dried fish, tough bread, and the most sacred of all, a flask of ale. It's warm, almost too warm and bitter, tasting like a mixture of mold and triumph. Yet you drink expecting victory to be loud, to echo through the camp like a battle cry. Instead, it whispers, settling as bruises in a deep, satisfying ache that nestles between your ribs and spine. You did it. Crossed the sea, held the line, and returned with not just cheese, but stories. By nightfall, the camp is alive with the crackle of fire, the sizzle of meat, and the soft snores of a warrior whose helmet serves as a makeshift pillow. You sit cross-legged amongst your comrades, staring into the flames as if waiting for a divine revelation. No gods speak tonight, but someone hands you a roasted turnip, and in this moment it feels almost as sacred. Laughter bubbles up, not from humor, but from the sheer absurdity of survival. You laugh too, not because it's funny, but because it happened, you were there, and you didn't die. As sleep calls, you curl up with your shield, your helmet still bearing the dents of battle. This, you realize, is merely the beginning, the first of many raids, the first of countless aches. Tonight you rest, for you've earned it. The raiding season will end with the cold, and with it your fleeting dance with glory. You return home expecting rest, perhaps even accolades. Instead, winter greets you, a harsh, biting, spirit-crushing Viking winter. The forwarded ice claims the land, and the longship, once a fierce dragon on the waves, now lies retired, flipped over like a beached whale. As you pack away the remnants of adventure, the silence of the season envelops you, a stark contrast to the chaos you've just left behind. Shed your armor for survival now demands a different kind of strength. The tasks multiply, the daylight fades, and your spirit wanes. You split logs until your fingers lose all sensation, hauling buckets from a stream that glares back with a chilling hostility. The goats, those creatures of inexplicable disdain, now depend on you for warmth and sustenance. You share a mutual respect for their tenacity, though they express their gratitude with ungodly screeches at the witching hour. The feast of old fades into a memory replaced by the relentless diet of smoked, dried, and pickled fish. For a change, there's turnip mash, but it does little to lift the spirits. Meals are taken in a silence, as heavy as the layers you wear, the air thick with the scent of wool-damp fur, and the bitter taste of regret. Your hair perpetually damp, and your toes feeling like distant acquaintances are the least of your concerns. Your shield, once your pride, now gathers dust, yet you polish it not for necessity, but to catch a fleeting glimpse of past joys. The longhouse is a scene of perpetual commotion, smoky and filled with bickering over misplaced firewood, and the stew that carries the dubious aroma of footwear. You find solace in training outdoors, the cold biting at your fingers as they cling to the sword just to escape the clamor. Yet amidst this harsh existence, a transformation brews. You grow stronger, tougher, both in body and spirit. The silence, once oppressive, now whispers of peace. The pungent smell of pickled. Everything begins to fade into the background. You endure, and with each day, your resilience hardens. Then one morning, the thaw begins. The first bird song pierces the quiet, a shrill note of both hope and the possibility of a headache. You venture to the fjord where the ice cracks heralding the approach of spring. With it, the raiding season looms on the horizon. When it arrives, you'll be ready, battle-hardened, lean from scarcity, and fueled by a fierce determination. Winter tried to claim you, but you stood firm, your spirit as unyielding as the frost on the fields. You emerge from its icy grip, not just alive, but invigorated, ready for life's next challenge. And what comes next? Marriage proposals of all things. They start innocently, almost comically. A local farmer's son, with a hopeful smile and a bundle of dried fish, declares that you'd be a fine wife. You challenge his ability to wield an axe, and his swift exit tells you all you need to know. Then comes another, this time with a gift, an antler comb. You accept it with grace, only to use it as a tool of affection for your loyal hound. He never returns, perhaps realizing that your heart lies elsewhere. Soon it becomes a trend. Young men with tokens and trembling hopes, each trying to win over the village's most formidable shield maiden. But you crave not the taming, but the wild thrill of battle, the clash of steel, and perhaps a feast where talk of goats is replaced by tales of glory. Your aunt, with her well-meaning advice, suggests you settle down. When my axe rusts, you retort a declaration of your intent to remain as sharp and ready as your weapon. She warns of a lonely death, but you envision a glorious one far more appealing than a life of domesticity. One suitor, more daring than the rest, challenges you to a duel-sighting tradition. You accept, and he leaves with a bruise shaped like your shield, a lesson in the folly of underestimating a woman who trains in the snow for sport. Eventually, the stream of suitors dwindles to a trickle. Word spreads you're not one for hearth and home, not for stew pots or debates over blankets. You desire more adventure, less chatter, more glory, fewer goats. It's not that you're opposed to love, but love to you should make your heart race like the drums of war. And until that day arrives, you'll remain unclaimed, your spirit as free as the wind sweeping across the open fields. Ah, but there you are, standing alone in the calm of the forge, honing your axe to a razor's edge. The village girls murmur behind their hands, branding you as haughty, while the boys whisper in fear, their eyes wide with a mix of awe and dread. They're not wrong, you know. Your evenings are spent not in the warmth of a hearth or the joy of a dance, but on the cold, hard ground of the training field. Instead of dreaming of nuptials, you devote yourself to the gleam of steel, ensuring your blade catches the moonlight just right. And at night, your axe lies beside you, not as a lonely sentinel, but as the silent confidant that never betrays your secrets. You've tasted battle before, rage squabbles, the petty quarrels over livestock and honor. But this is different. This is war. The night before dawn brings a silence so deep it feels as though the world itself is waiting, breath bated. The adversaries you face now are not the trembling farmers from neighboring lands, but warriors, their armor clinking their swords, already whispering your name in anticipation. No grand oration for you, just your chieftain's gruff advice. Don't die foolishly before he turns to lace his boots. You nod. That's all the pep talk you need. There you stand, shoulder to shoulder with comrades you've both fought with and jested with by the fire. Today your shield weighs heavier, your breaths come harder. Someone nearby succumbs to the nerves, another finds solace in song. And then it starts. The case of the first clash, a symphony of clashing shields, the shriek of swords, the silent scream of the fallen. You're in a dance of survival, blocking, swinging, ducking, stabbing, your movements a blur of instinct and adrenaline. Your shield splinters and you switch to your axe. When that too fails, you grab a spear from a fallen comrade, no longer in need of it. Time loses all meaning. Your own voice is a distant echo, lost in the cacophony of war cries. At some point you stumble, not with the grace of a hero, but with the mundane clumsiness of fatigue. You find yourself in the mud beside a body that could be anyone, yet eerily resembles you in death. What does it mean to fall in war? Is it the end, or just another step in this relentless dance of life and death? Amidst the deafening roar of battle, your heart pounds in your chest like a frantic drum, drowning out all other sounds. A shadow menacing and vast descends upon you. In a desperate roll, you narrowly evade a blade's deadly kiss, the cold steel slicing through the air, mere inches from your flesh. In the chaos, your hand finds a rock, a humble weapon, yet it becomes your salvation in this dire moment. You wield it with a ferocity born of survival, and miraculously it serves its purpose. When the dust settles and the clamor fades, an eerie silence envelops the field. No longer does the earth hold its breath in anticipation. Now it is the lifeless bodies that lie still, their breaths forever ceased. You find yourself seated among them, your clothes soaked in blood, a macabre tapestry woven from both your own and others. You sit trying to reconnect with emotions like fear, pride, or the mundane need for sustenance. A bird drawn by the quiet lands nearby, only to quickly take flight again, startled by the scene. You survived an anomaly in a landscape of death. When questioned about your survival, your response is nonchalant. Didn't have anything better to do, you quip? Though the truth is far more complex, woven with threads of luck and sheer will. In the aftermath, you remain unchanged in appearance. Same boots, same axe, the same stubborn stew stain on your cloak. Yet the way people perceive you shifts. No longer just a warrior, you've become a legend, a tale told in hushed tones. Someone dubs you the one who wouldn't die, while another, perhaps less kindly, nicknames you Goat Hammer, due to an unfortunate encounter involving an enemy and an innocent goat. You let the name circulate without correction. The real story is far messier and less captivating. As you walk through the village, the crowd parts not in fear, but with a mix of reverence and curiosity. They step aside, unsure if you'll seek assistance or throw down a gauntlet. You greet them with a nod, and they return it with cautious respect. Children, ever fearless, whisper your name, daring each other to touch your shield when you're not watching. They never do. Once you caught a boy in the act, handed him your axe, and watched him freeze in awe and terror. You said nothing, and he returned it, fleeing with a newfound respect. He hasn't been seen since, perhaps pondering the weight of his daring. From the days when you were just a sharp-tongued lass with a fierce swing, you've ascended to a revered figure among the warriors. They don't merely seek your counsel out of courtesy before a raid. They do so because you have walked through the fires of battle, returning not with excuses, but with a tapestry of scars that speak of your indomitable spirit. No longer are you just the boisterous girl known for her hard hits. You've become a seasoned veteran, a master of strategy, a living legend whose tales are woven with the threads of your own experiences. Your name echoes through the camp, sometimes slightly altered, but always with a tone of respect. A merchant visiting from distant lands bows deeply, mistaking you for the mistress of blades. You correct him with a spit into a bucket and a query about the quality of his cheese this time. His head bobs in agreement so fervently that he nearly loses his balance. At night, as the fire crackles, you overhear your own saga recounted, embellished with elements of thunder, a raven aglow, and a berserker's kiss. You remain silent, finding amusement in the exaggerations. Fame wasn't something you sought. You didn't flash smiles for the crowd. Yet here it is, as integral to you as your shield, battle-worn, slightly dented, and ever at the ready. Once doubts about being taken seriously plagued you. Now you ponder if people will muster the courage to speak without trembling. The landscape of the camp has changed. Younger faces with braids too tight and axes too loose fill the ranks, their voices loud with promises of valor in battle. You see your past self in them, though with fewer bruises and a reservoir of optimism. They observe you not as a beacon of heroism, but as a tempest on the verge of unleashing its fury. You've earned this reputation. Mornings bring the ache of your joints. Your sword wrist pops in the cold, and a scar across your ribs itches with the coming of snow. Healing now takes longer, and when it does come, the pain lingers, a testament to the battles fought and the warrior you've become. In the dimly lit corners of the longhouse, you linger like a seasoned drinking companion who overstays his welcome. Yet you are not softer. Rather, you've become more resilient where it counts. Your training is less about proving a point and more about maintaining a razor-sharp edge. You savor your meals, sleep with one eye open, and only speak when your words carry weight, which means half the hall has yet to hear your voice resonate. When young shield maidens, eyes wide with both fear and curiosity, seek your wisdom on how to win their first skirmish, you offer them a simple truth: don't die. When they ponder how to earn respect, your advice is as direct as a well-aimed punch. Break their nose, then help them up. And when the inevitable question arises about when the terror of battle fades, you give them the raw honesty they need. It doesn't, you just learn to mask it better. Even now, though your raids are fewer, your presence on the battlefield is a beacon of reassurance. When word spreads that you might join the fray, allies breathe a sigh of relief while enemies check their armor. Not once, but twice. Your axe, its handle now wrapped in fresh leather, bears the scars of countless battles, its blade still keen despite the notches. It has outlasted all your suitors, a silent testament to your enduring spirit. There are moments when you contemplate retiring your weapon, but then a fool speaks out a turn, or a threat looms on the horizon, and you realize with a wry grin that you're not done yet. You never sought to be legendary. Your aim was merely to fight to survive, to carve a niche in a world that doubted your right to exist. Through blood, fire, and an unyielding refusal to surrender, you have not only survived, but thrived. You are not merely a shield maiden. You are a harbinger, a warning to those who would underestimate the quiet ones. And the next time someone dares to ask if you still wield your axe, you'll offer them a small, knowing smile and say, only when necessary and sometimes just for the sheer joy of it. Long before the era of hospitals and clinical attire, the Greeks believed the path to healing was through slumber in sacred spaces. This wasn't mere indolence. It was a practice known as incubation. Imagine, if you will, the weight of illness in ancient Greece, where the mere thought of a doctor's visit was far from the minds of the afflicted. Instead, they embarked on a spiritual journey, a pilgrimage to the sanctuary of Asclepios, the revered god of healing. Often their destination was Epidaurus, where the majestic marble colonnades stood as silent sentinels, embracing the air rich with the fragrance of laurel and the smoke of sacrifices. Upon reaching this hallowed ground, the pilgrims engaged in sacred rites. They cleansed themselves in waters blessed by the divine, offered humble sacrifices, perhaps a rooster, and readied themselves for the night in the abaton, a chamber shrouded in darkness and silence. Here they lay on simple mats surrounded by an eerie yet sacred presence of serpents, creatures emblematic of renewal and rebirth. The ritual was both simple and mystical: to sleep in the god's presence, inviting Asclepios to visit in their dreams. These were not mere dreams, but divine prescriptions. One might dream of the god gently touching an ailing limb or presenting a mystical herb. At dawn, they would recount these visions to a temple priest who, like a spiritual apothecary, would decipher the dream's meaning and prescribe the next steps. This journey was far from passive. The pilgrimage, the purification, the prayers all served to prepare the mind and body for healing. Scholars debate its essence, some calling it an early form of psychosomatic therapy, others a theatrical placebo. Yet the effectiveness was undeniable. Patients often departed either cured or profoundly inspired. They left behind not just their ailments, but also their stories etched in stone as testimonies of regained sight, mended limbs, and divine encounters. These inscriptions, more than mere records, blurred the lines between the realms of medicine and religion, dream and diagnosis. The focus wasn't merely on combating symptoms, but on harmonizing with a divine equilibrium. Healing in this sacred space transcended the physical. It was an experience of the soul. As we drift from the tranquil sleep chambers of ancient Greece, let us journey eastward to the vibrant and mystical land of Mesopotamia, nestled between the meandering Tigris and Euphrates. Here, healing was not a serene slumber, but a fierce battle against unseen forces. Illness in this ancient civilization was not merely a matter of biology, it was deeply personal, a direct affront from malevolent spirits sent by wrathful deities, envious neighbors, or restless ghosts seeking retribution. Imagine this: in the quiet of your home, beneath the very threshold where you step, lies a simple ceramic bowl, its mouth buried in the earth. Not just any bowl, but a vessel of spiritual warfare known as an incantation or Babylonian demon bowl. These were no mere decorative items. They were the Mesopotamian equivalent of a spiritual bug zapper. Each was meticulously inscribed with protective spells spiraling inward in Aramaic or other local tongues, calling upon angels, saints, and cosmic powers to ensnare whatever malevolent entity dared to trespass. The inscriptions were dense, deliberate, and slightly unhinged, filled with invocations meant to bind the demon within the bowl's confines forever, an ancient form of spiritual Tupperware. Some bowls even boasted crudely drawn images of the offending spirit shackled and looking rather displeased. This was not just about trapping, it was about humiliation akin to a magical mugshot, ensuring the demon knew it had met its match. But these bowls went beyond mere exorcism. They served as a shield, a form of spiritual insurance in a world where curses, the evil eye, and whispered spells were as common as the river's flow. Names of family members, domestic grievances, and even accusations against rival sorcerers were etched into the clay. Why place these bowls under doorways or in the corners of homes? Because like nosy neighbors, demons are said to linger at the edges, seeking entry into the warmth of human life. Here in this liminal space, the bowls stood as sentinels guardians against the darkness that sought to seep in. As we delve deeper into the mystical practices of the ancients, let's pause and reflect on the profound ways they sought to manage the unseen forces that shaped their lives. Imagine the edges of your home where the outside world meets your sanctuary. Here in ancient Mesopotamia, bowls were not just simple pottery. They were guardians, invisible bouncers, standing vigilant, ensuring that the malevolent spirits did not intrude, keeping the family safe, secure, and whole. While today's skeptics might dismiss these rituals with a scoff, there's a deeper, almost poetic logic to them. These rituals gave form to the formless fears, named the nameless threats, and contained them, providing a semblance of control in a world brimming with chaos. Next time the air feels heavy, the atmosphere tinged with unease, perhaps you should peek beneath your doormat. Could there be an ancient, dusty bowl still quietly performing its age-old duty, fending off the shadows with nothing but ink, clay, and a whisper of Mesopotamian hope? Now let's transport ourselves to the lush, fragrant landscapes of ancient Egypt, where the approach to healing was as much about the soul as it was about the body. Here the air was thick with the scent of plants, perfumes, and potions, each element chosen for its ability to restore balance, harmony, and divine connection. At the epicenter of this aromatic medical tradition was the blue lotus, a flower not merely for its visual splendor, but for its hypnotic allure and spiritual significance. Imagine this: the blue lotus, infused in wine or woven into salves, was the key to unlocking mild euphoria, soothing pain, and easing the heart's heavy burdens. Ancient frescoes capture the essence of this flower, with partygoers holding lotus blooms at feasts, priests presenting them in sacred rites, and even the departed wrapped with these blossoms in their eternal rest, believing it would guide their spirits to divine realms and open their minds to healing visions and sacred dreams. But let's not confine our appreciation to just the lotus. Egyptian medicine was a tapestry rich with both the practical and the mystical. Their medical texts, like the sprawling Eber's Papyrus, cataloged over 800 remedies, ranging from the bizarre, like crocodile dung suppositories, to the surprisingly effective, such as honey-based wound dressings. How fascinating to consider that some of these treatments, particularly those involving garlic, might still hold relevance today. In the mystical realm of ancient Egypt, where the aromatic essences of frankincense and myrrh filled the air, the pursuit of health was both a spiritual and a scientific endeavor. Imagine the scene: a sufferer with a throbbing toothache, perhaps seeking solace in the most unusual of remedies, placing a cooked mouse on the afflicted area, or perhaps turning to the ancient chants words of power meant to banish pain like an unruly servant. Here the boundary between the sacred and the medicinal blurred into non-existence, with physicians, or Esabu and Tenw, often serving dual roles as priests. The temples, grand and imposing, doubled as sanctuaries of healing, where the ill would arrive, their hopes pinned on a cocktail of incantations, prayers, and offerings to deities like Sekhmet, the fierce lioness goddess of plagues. Recovery was a testament to divine favor, while failure might suggest a celestial test of one's endurance. Yet the Egyptians were not mere practitioners of magic. They were adept in the arts of surgery, setting bones and draining abscesses. They understood the rhythm of the pulse, scrutinized urine for signs of disease, and their methods would later inspire Greek luminaries like Hippocrates and Galen. However, healing in Egypt transcended the mere physical. It was an act of reverence, an alignment of the mortal coil with the eternal, where sometimes all it required was a bloom, a whispered incantation, and a touch of faith, all delicately swathed in linen. Contrast this with the stark, rugged landscapes of Siberia and the vast, whispering wilds of the indigenous Americas, where healing embraced a different, more urgent quest, not merely to mend the body, but to reclaim the soul. Here, sickness was a signal, a distress call from the spirit lost, stolen, or simply gone astray. The only one equipped to undertake this profound journey was the shaman, a figure not just of medicine, but of mediation between worlds. Shamans, with their unique blend of priestly duties, healing arts, and as cosmic navigators, embarked on journeys through rhythm, song, and sacrifice, seeking to reunite the fragmented soul with its corporeal vessel. In this mystical realm, shamans embarked on profound quests into altered states of consciousness, not merely for adventure, but with the solemn duty to venture into the spirit world. Here they would confront malevolent spirits, engage in earnest negotiations with ancestors, or strike delicate bargains with the spirits of nature, all in the fervent quest to retrieve the lost fragments of a patient soul. These journeys were no mere metaphors. They were as real as the earth beneath their feet. The tools of their sacred trade were as varied as they were symbolic. Drums believed to mimic the very heartbeat of the earth reverberated through the night. Animal masks or cloaks donned by the shaman served not only as disguises, but as embodiments of their spirit guides. And then there were the psychoactive plants, gateways to an inner vision where the unseen becomes seen. Among these, a particularly potent brew known as ayahuasca was favored by Amazonian shamans. This elixir, notorious for inducing vivid visions, purging in what might be described as a revelatory tumult, was a cornerstone of their practice. Soul loss, they believed, could stem from trauma, deep sorrow, or the violation of taboos, manifesting in symptoms we might today label as psychosomatic or psychological distress. Instead of modern therapy, healing ceremonies were dramatic and communal affairs. Imagine your name being called out into the whispering forest, the rhythmic dance around a fire, or the healer's chant as they coax the spirit back into your chest. In certain traditions, the shaman would physically enact the struggle, shaking, mimicking battles, or pulling invisible threads from the body to symbolically extract the illness. Elsewhere, sacred smoke might be blown over you or prayers whispered into the ear of a slumbering child with no sterile distance between healer and healed. Healing was an emotional mythic endeavor, a narrative of storytelling and memory, aimed at mending the invisible connections between an individual and their world. In these cultures, illness was not just a physical ailment, but a fissure in the soul. And if fortune smiled, a brave soul would delve into the darkness, seeking to reunite you with your wandering spirit. As these shamans ventured forth, the ancient sages of India, in their own quest, turned their gaze inward, mapping the intricate rhythms of the soul's journey. The profound dance of life, where each step taken is not merely a routine, but a cosmic waltz with the universe itself. Here in the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, or the knowledge of life, we find not a battle against disease, but a harmonious ballet between body-mind and the cosmos. Imagine your digestion, your very lunch as a symphony where each note must be perfectly in tune with the universe's grand melody. If your digestion falters, it's not just a matter of what you ate. It's a disruption in the celestial orchestra. In the tapestry of Ayurveda, every soul is woven with threads of three doshas: Vata, the dance of air and space; Pitta, the fiery waltz of fire and water; and Kapha, the grounding embrace of earth and water. Your unique blend of these elements shapes not just your physical health, but your very essence, your temperament, and even your morning cravings. The healer's role transcends mere symptom suppression. They are the conductors guiding your doshas back into harmony through the gentle touch of herbs, the nurturing of diet, the soothing strokes of massage, the quietude of meditation, and yes, the luxurious indulgence of an oil bath. Oh, the oils of Ayurveda, from warm sesame to medicated ghee, they are drizzled in a practice known as Shirodhara, a ritual to calm the mind and awaken the third eye. Imagine the oil like liquid gold flowing in a continuous stream, soothing your senses and opening your soul to the universe's whispers. Beyond this, there are full-body oil massages, detoxifying enemas, and even the ancient, albeit intense, practice of vamana, an induced vomiting meant to cleanse not just the body but the spirit. But let us not mistake this for mere folklore. The ancient texts like the Karaka Samhita, dating back to the first millennium BCE, offer not just remedies, but detailed anatomical knowledge, surgical methods, and profound philosophical insights. These practitioners were not just healers, they were seers diagnosing through the subtle cues of pulse, tongue, eyes, and voice, understanding that health is as much a moral state as it is a physical one. Greed, anger, or excessive desire could throw your doshas out of sync just as surely as spoiled yogurt could upset your stomach. Thus, the practices of meditation, chanting, and pranayama were not merely spiritual exercises, but daily elixirs for the soul, and the herbs turmeric with its fiery embrace to quell inflammation. Ashwagandha, the gentle nurturer of vitality. Neem, the purifier with its cleansing touch. Each plant was not just a cure, but a companion, possessing its own personality and energy ready to harmonize with the human spirit. Ah, what a vibrant, intricate tapestry of life Ayurveda weaves. In the realm of ancient Indian healing, illness was never merely a stroke of bad luck. Oh no. It was a profound message, a gentle whisper from the soul that something within had lost its equilibrium. The remedy was not a battle against sickness, but rather a tender realignment, a harmonious dance back to the sacred rhythm of life, often facilitated by the generous application of warm oils. While India concentrated on balancing the doshas across the vast landscapes of ancient China, a parallel philosophy of harmony emerged, centered around the flow of energy, or qi, pronounced as ki. In traditional Chinese medicine, TCM disease was not just an unwelcome visitor. It was a sign of disruption in the life force's natural flow. Imagine qi as an invisible river meandering through your body. When this river stagnates, overflows, or runs, dry ailments take root. However, when this vital energy flows freely, health blossoms like a lotus in the morning sun. At the heart of this worldview are the twin forces of yin and yang, the dance of cold and heat, darkness and light, stillness and action. A skilled healer would not merely diagnose what was amiss, but would ponder, which element dominates, which has faded away? Are you ablaze with too much fire? Or perhaps are you parched from a lack of water? Is your spleen harboring old resentments? Practitioners would delve deep, examining your tongue, listening to the timbre of your voice, and feeling your pulse at various points, each linked to different organs. Your liver might be seething with anger, your kidney trembling with fear. The diagnosis often carried the weight of poetry rather than the coldness of pathology, yet it was no less potent. Treatment might involve acupuncture, where hair-thin needles were placed along meridians to unblock energy pathways, encouraging the natural flow. While the idea of needles might not seem inviting, many patients found the experience not only soothing, but sometimes uplifting. Yet TCM was not confined to needles alone. It also embraced cupping, moxibustion, and the aromatic burning of herbs near the skin, all aimed at restoring balance and vitality. In the realm of Chinese medicine, every aspect of health is intertwined with the universe's symphony, from the skin's glow to the energetic dance of qi. The body is not merely a vessel, but a living, breathing ecosystem. Here, treatments like Qigong exercises, herbal concoctions of ginger ginseng, licorice root, and carefully curated dietary plans are not prescribed haphazardly, but with meticulous intention. Imagine the revered text, the Huangdi Neijing, the Yellow Emperor's inner canon penned around 200 BCE. Within its pages, dialogues unfold between the emperor and his physician, exploring not just the mechanics of illness, but the rhythms of seasons, the depth of emotions, and even the pulse of politics. Isn't it awe-inspiring to think that your stomachache might whisper tales of unresolved grief? Or that healing transcends the physical to embrace the ethical, the emotional, and the elemental? When the body's elements fall out of harmony, the approach is not to wage war, but to restore balance, akin to tuning a delicate instrument or gently clearing a stream with the precision of acupuncture needles, and perhaps the aromatic touch of burning mugwort. Turning our gaze to Africa, healing transforms into a communal spectacle where medicine, ritual, and ancestral wisdom converge. Unlike the isolating sterility of Western colonics, here the entire community, family ancestors village, and spirits gathers around the afflicted. Illness in these cultures is more than a personal burden. It's a tear in the fabric of society, a cosmic misalignment that demands a holistic remedy, often accompanied by the beat of drums, the swirl of smoke, and the earnest clucking of a concerned chicken. Consider the Sangoma, the spiritual healer of southern Africa, a bridge to the ancestors. These healers don't merely diagnose symptoms, they delve into the spiritual radiology, casting bone shells and trinkets upon a mat. Each scatter tells a story, a narrative whispered by the ancestors through the chaos of the bones. What secrets do these bones hold? What tales do they tell of the body's inner turmoil? Once a curse has been uttered, ancestral spirits displeased, or a heart left shattered, the journey toward healing begins. Rituals steeped in the ancient wisdom of the land unfurl like a sacred tapestry. They might involve the solemn sacrifice of an animal, the crafting of plant-based elixirs, or the stirring rhythm of initiation dances. Oh, how music plays its part not as mere amusement, but as a divine instrument. Drumming, singing, and the fluidity of movement are not just for show. They are the very tools that shift the energy, beckon the spirit guides, and coax the soul into a trance, opening pathways to profound healing. Plants, too, hold a place of honor. Traditional healers, revered as herbalists or inyanga, possess a deep, almost mystical knowledge of the local flora. Roots, barks, leaves. These are not mere ingredients, but sacred keys to unlock relief from infections, fevers, the longing for children, or the grip of pain. Some herbs are brewed into potent teas, others are burned, their smoke curling into the air, or applied directly onto the skin, or ingested in complex mixtures during rituals. This is no simple gathering of plants. It's a sophisticated pharmacy, a legacy of generations often shrouded in secrecy and sanctified by spiritual rites. Illness in this world is not merely physical. It can spring from the transgression of sacred taboos, the neglect of honoring elders, the careless whisper against a spirit, or the inadvertent misstep over a grave. Thus, healing transcends the mere medical. It delves into the moral. It might demand confession, heartfelt apologies, or even purification rites. Imagine the scene. Perhaps there's chicken blood, sacred ash, or an awkward family gathering where truths are bared and amends made. The deeper truth resonates like a drumbeat. You are not an island, but a vibrant node in an intricate network, ancestral, spiritual, ecological. When discord strikes within, it sends ripples through this web. The healer's role: to listen with the heart, interpret the whispers of the spirits, and with herbs, chants, and the ancestral wisdom flickering in the firelight to mend the fabric of this web. In many Native American traditions, healing isn't about mending a mere fragment of the body. It's about purifying the entire being. Illness, be it of the body or soul, is seen as a disharmony among the self, the community, the spirit realm, and the natural world. Thus, one of the most profound rituals across these indigenous nations is, inside the sweat lodge, a cocoon of spiritual transformation, the air thickens with the essence of rebirth. This humble dome, crafted from willow branches and cloaked in blankets or animal hides, is far more than a simple structure. It is a portal to the soul. Here in the enveloping darkness, the heat is not just intense, it's a living force pulsating with the energy of life itself. At its heart, stones known as grandfathers, heated to glowing, are cradled in a central pit. Water infused with sacred herbs is then poured over these stones, summoning steam that dances through the lodge like whispers of the past. Participants, often stripped of their daily disguises, sit in a circle, their bodies bare or minimally covered, guided by the steady voice of a spiritual leader, a roadman. This is no mere sauna, it is the womb of Mother Earth, a sanctuary where one can shed not just sweat, but also the heavy cloak of toxins, pain, and emotional burdens. As the ceremony unfolds in rounds, each more profound than the last, the themes shift from gratitude to forgiveness, to letting go or invoking the wisdom of ancestors. The purpose transcends merely expelling physical ailments. It's a call to listen to oneself, to the whispers of others, and to the murmurs of the spirits. In this sacred space, devoid of worldly distractions, people often encounter visions, experience emotional epiphanies, or find a peace so profound it's almost otherworldly. Yet the journey isn't always gentle. The heat can become a formidable adversary, the discomfort a crucible for the soul. But this too is part of the healing. Beyond the sweat lodge, other rituals weave their magic. Smudging where sacred herbs like sage, sweet grass, or cedar are burned purifies both person and place. Healing songs carried through generations by oral tradition are not just melodies but living medicine. Some tribes practice sand painting, crafting vibrant patterns from crushed stone to realign spiritual energies. At its core, this healing is a profound connection to the land, to those who walked before, and to the elemental forces. Here in this sacred space, one understands healing is not a solitary endeavor, but a communal symphony where each soul plays its part in restoring harmony with the world. In the vast tapestry of human existence, the threads of healing have been woven with an unwavering goal to restore balance, to rediscover our essence, and to tread once again with vigor on the sacred earth. From the ethereal whispers of Greek dream temples to the rhythmic chants under the celestial canopy of sweat lodges, one truth emerges. Resplendent ancient healing was never merely about the corporeal form. It was an all-encompassing odyssey touching the physical, emotional, spiritual, and social realms of our being. With tools as diverse as lotus valves, demon bowls, needles, and drums, the intention was unfailingly consistent. Restore the balance. Across the ancient world, health was not merely the absence of ailment, but the vibrant presence of harmony. Harmony between the flesh and the spirit, between humanity and the embrace of nature, between the seen and the unseen realms. Whether through the cosmic flow of ki, the primal beat of feet drumming the earth, or the serene trance of temple incubation, these rituals were potent because they imbued suffering with purpose and empowered the afflicted. Modern medicine, with its focus on empirical evidence, often overlooks what these ancient practices understood so well. Humans are creatures of meaning. We yearn to comprehend the roots of our pain. We crave assurance that there exists a pathway to alleviate it. Ancient healing offered both an explanation, whether through spirits, imbalance, or ancestral admonitions, and a communal curative journey forward. These rituals held power even when they lacked scientific efficacy. A Mesopotamian demon bowl might not slay bacteria, but it could quiet the mind. A shaman's quest to retrieve a lost soul might not heal fractures, but it could mend the psyche in ways words alone could not. And here lies the profound revelation. Many of these ancient insights are now spiraling back into our consciousness. Modern medicine is embracing mind-body techniques, meditation, visualization, and more recognizing the profound therapeutic value that once seemed lost to time. Why? Because humans need stories, symbols, and ceremonies to heal, not just their bodies, but their very souls. Even in the realm of modern medicine, with its cutting-edge technologies and chemical marvels, there's a rekindling of a truth our ancestors knew by heart. Healing transcends mere science. It's about weaving a tapestry of connection where psychedelic-assisted therapy mirrors the sacred, shamanic voyages of old. Hospitals today are not just sterile environments, but sanctuaries of healing, incorporating music, aroma, and culturally resonant rituals into patient care. Imagine this: centuries of scientific dominance, and yet we find ourselves returning to the wisdom of the ancients. What can these age-old healing practices teach us? Not merely about the power of herbs and chants, but about the essence of our being. We are not mechanical beings to be merely repaired. We are living ecosystems thriving on care and connection. Consider this a whispered prayer, the rhythmic pulse of a drum, or the wafting scent of sacred smoke can touch the depths of the soul in ways a scalpel never could. Healing at its core is profoundly human. The ancients, with all their mysticism and messiness, grasped this truth better than most. They knew that healing is a journey, not just a destination. Before the era of crowns and gem-encrusted rings, there were shells, tiny perforated, mollusk shells strung together not just for adornment, but for deep symbolic meaning. Journey back to Blombos Cave in South Africa, where archaeologists unearthed shell beads dating back over 75,000 years. These were not mere trinkets, but artifacts of deliberate design. Why would early Homo sapiens dedicate precious time to crafting such items when survival was their primary concern? The answer whispers through the ages' communication. These ornaments were not just for beauty, they were a language. A necklace could convey one's status within the community, lineage, or readiness for mating. Jewelry was, in essence, a narrative worn on the body, speaking volumes without uttering a single word. Today we might view jewelry as a luxury, yet its earliest forms were crafted from the remnants of nature: bird talons, animal teeth, amber pieces, and carved bones. Nothing went to waste. Everything carried significance. Isn't it profound how the ancients communicated through the very essence of their environment? What stories do our modern adornments tell? Imagine the thrill of survival, the raw pulse of life coursing through the veins as one emerges victorious from the jaws of a beast. Picture a tooth not merely an accessory, but a bold declaration of endurance and might. This was no mere trinket. It was a talisman of protection, a badge of bravado, and a conduit to the spiritual realm, all encased in one primitive pendant. These early beads, often sourced from the distant sea, tell a tale of trade and exchange, painting a vivid picture of early tribes valuing the exotic allure of coastal treasures. Jewelry, even in those nascent times, was the very essence of portable culture. It was a way to carry one's identity, relationships, and stories across vast landscapes, a silent yet eloquent narrative of existence. But delve deeper and you'll find a spiritual layer, as if these objects whispered secrets of the supernatural. Some anthropologists suggest these artifacts serve magical or ritualistic purposes. Shells connected to the life-giving water bones, to revered ancestors' teeth, to raw, untamed strength. These weren't mere adornments. They were powerful talismans worn close to the heart to shield against illness, misfortune, or the lurking shadows of malevolent spirits. The inception of jewelry was a profound milestone in human cognition, a testament to our evolving understanding of self and how we are perceived by others. A simple shell on a string transcended mere decoration. It became a profound statement about belonging, survival, and the very essence of existence. No ancient humans were not the primitives we once imagined. They were artists, curators, and storytellers, meticulously carving their identity into bone and threading their legacy through the delicate holes of shells. As human societies progressed through the Paleolithic period, jewelry didn't just adorn, it acquired deeper layers of symbolism. It became a marker of life and death, of belonging and legacy. During the Ice Age, adornments were not merely worn, they were buried with great ceremony, as evidenced by the ancient graves at Sunir, Russia. Here, over 30,000 years ago, we find a child perhaps no older than 10, laid to rest in a tunic adorned with over 4,000 ivory beads, each one painstakingly carved from mammoth tusk, speaking volumes about the profound significance these artifacts held. Each piece was a labor of love, meticulously crafted over countless hours for a child. Imagine the dedication, the patience, the sheer artistry involved. This wasn't mere adornment, it was a sacred rite, a poignant farewell, perhaps even a whispered promise for the journey beyond. 448. These Ice Age treasures were not born of haste. Symmetry, repetition, rhythm, these elements whisper of a sophisticated aesthetic sense. Pendants carved in the likeness of animals, bead patented with intricate designs, bracelets sculpted from the antlers of reindeer. All these speak of not just technical prowess, but a deep spiritual symbolism. Jewelry had evolved transcended from mere improvisation of scraps. 0511. It had become a craft revered with materials narrating tales of origin and identity. Consider the journey of Baltic amber, found far from its birthplace, evidence of vast trade networks spanning continents. Jet, that lustrous black fossilized wood cherished for millennia, found its place in mourning jewelry, its deep sheen a somber tribute. Red ochre with its blood-like hue-dyed beads and burial garments, perhaps as a symbolic connection to life's essence or the promise of rebirth. 05 or 41. In this epoch, jewelry also whispered of social standing. Who you were, your place in the community, the value your kin placed on your adornment, all these were declared through these silent symbols. A burial adorned with such finery was an act of honor and elevation. Was the wearer a leader, a spiritual guide, or simply someone deeply cherished? 06 or 04. And let's not forget the possibility that some pieces served as tokens of love markers, of clan identity, or rites of passage into adulthood. Without written words, we piece together these stories from the earth itself, from the bones and artifacts of our ancestors. Yet what endures is breathtaking. In the face of ice peril, in the daily fight for survival, humanity still paused to craft and cherish beauty. So on to 33. Jewelry, even in those harsh times, stood as a defiant gesture against the cold, unyielding hand of nature. It was a declaration life and beauty would not be quelled. The profound significance of identity in the ancient world. As humanity transitioned into the Neolithic and Bronze Age, jewelry transformed from mere tribal adornments into potent symbols of power and protection. Imagine the awe, the wonder as amulets, pendants, and charms ceased to be just beautiful. They became imbued with intention, magic, and the touch of the divine. These tiny treasures served as a bridge between the mortal realm and the supernatural, offering a shield against curses, diseases, and the cruel twist of fate. Or so it was fervently believed. In the sands of ancient Egypt, the art of amuletic jewelry reached unparalleled heights of complexity and reverence. The scarab, a symbol of rebirth and transformation, was not merely an artistic choice but a spiritual necessity, often placed with the deceased to ensure their safe journey into the afterlife. Picture the scene: children adorned with fish-shaped amulets, a silent prayer against the perils of water. Pharaohs in their eternal slumber, surrounded by gold jewelry, molded into the forms of cobras and falcons, summoning the protection of gods even beyond death. The choice of materials was no trivial matter. Gold with its eternal gleam was not just precious, it was considered imperishable, akin to the very flesh of the gods themselves. Lapis lazuli, with its deep celestial blue, was believed to offer glimpses into the divine. Turquoise carnelian and fancy jasper each carried their own symbolic weight, turning jewelry into a wearable coat of cosmic significance. Venture into Mesopotamia and you'll find similar beliefs flourishing. Cylinder seals intricately carved with protective deities were worn close to the heart or around the neck. Beads etched with sacred symbols were thought to repel disease and ward off demonic influences. Kings draped in heavy jewelry bracelets, collars, earrings displayed not only their wealth but also their spiritual fortitude. And let us not forget the ancient Greeks, who also turned to amulets for protection. Soldiers heading into battle carried engraved gemstones depicting gods or mythical beasts, believing these would lend them strength or shield them from harm. The Gorgonean, the fearsome head of Medusa, was a popular choice, its gaze meant to petrify evil itself. These amulets were not just for the elite, they were cherished by commoners too, a universal plea for protection in a world fraught with unseen dangers. As the centuries unfurled their tapestry of human endeavor, the adornments of the ancients continued to evolve, ever entwined with the threads of spirituality and the stark realities of social stratification. Imagine, if you will, the daily ritual of slipping on a bracelet or a necklace, not merely for aesthetic pleasure, but as a bridge to the divine. These pieces of jewelry, crafted from base metals or even clay, when gold was scarce, were not just accessories. They were lifelines to the gods, a protective shield, a whispered prayer against the uncertainties of life. Consider how these artifacts transcended their material essence to become carriers of divine presence. They allowed mortals to clutch fear molded into something tangible and wear it as a talisman against the chaos of existence. Can mere jewelry hold such power, one might ask? Indeed it did. From the humble peasant to the regal queen, each piece was a silent proclamation: I am not alone in this vast, unpredictable world. As societies matured, jewelry's role shifted dramatically. No longer just a spiritual tool, it became a loud, ostentatious declaration of one's place in the hierarchy. I am powerful. It announced its brilliance, reflecting not just divine favor, but also the stark divisions of wealth. In the grand tombs of Queen Puabi, buried in the ancient Sumerian city of Ur around 2600 BC, archaeologists unearthed a testament to this transformation. Layers upon layers of gold and lapis lazuli, intricate headpieces, majestic necklaces, and grandiose earrings adorned her, transforming her death into a spectacle of wealth and spiritual assertion. Her jewelry was her legacy, her authority carried into the afterlife. The Egyptians, with their pharaohs resplendent in broad collars of gold, turquoise, and enamel, pushed this notion to its zenith. Their crowns, adorned with serpents, symbolized sovereignty and divine protection. Even the youngest members of the elite were festooned with amulets and rings, making jewelry not just ceremonial, but a daily dialogue of status and power. And in ancient China, jade, not gold, was the material of choice, its beauty and durability symbolizing not just wealth, but also the enduring essence of the soul. Each piece of jewelry, whether worn by a pharaoh, a queen, or a child, was a silent yet potent declaration of identity and power, a language spoken in the gleam of precious stones and metals. As the sun set on the era of jade's purity, immortality, and moral excellence, a new dawn rose over the Mediterranean. Here the Minoans, and later the Greeks and Romans, wove a similar thread of splendor into their culture. Picture the gleam of gold wreaths shaped like laurel leaves adorning heads during grand public rituals and somber funerals, a silent testament to wealth and cultural sophistication. Imagine the Roman senators, their signet rings, each a miniature masterpiece, engraved with family crests, flashing like badges of authority and lineage keys to a world of power and prestige. Oh, the intrigue of court politics. A lavish necklace could whisper promises of favor or silently plot a web of dangerous alliances. Jewelry wasn't merely a trinket or a charm. It was a silent conductor of marriages, alliances, and divine favor. By the time writing emerged, jewelry had transcended mere decoration or magic. It had become the very infrastructure of society. It bore the heavy mantle of law, religion, dynasty, in class, speaking a language of silent command, worn close to the heart, draped over shoulders, or subtly revealed with a gesture. Behind each piece of this shimmering regalia, there was a craftsman's hand stained with the earth and spirit ignited by the forge. As societies grew more intricate, so did the artistry of adornment. Jewelry evolved from simple beads and hammered metal into a fusion of art, engineering, and alchemy, often centuries ahead of its time. In the Bronze Age, artisans honed their skills with metalsmithing tools, mastering techniques like granulation, fusing tiny gold spheres to surfaces in filigree, where delicate wirework demanded an alchemist's precision in heat, materials, and geometry. Consider the Minoans of Crete, their creations, so avant-garde they might have seemed plucked from a future not yet imagined. What secrets did their hands unlock? What visions did they forge in the heart of their fires? Behold the intricate dance of gold and honey, where bees of the purest gold hover with suspended droplets of honey, their wings a mere whisper of movement. Lions captured mid-roar embody the fierce spirit of the wild. Goddesses with wings majestically outstretched seem ready to ascend into the heavens. These were no mere trinkets. They were mythologies encapsulated in miniature marbles. The Egyptian goldsmiths, with their mastery of fire through blowpipes and the art of open molds, crafted collars and amulets that still astonish us today. Imagine the splendor unearthed from Tutankhamun's tomb, a scarab pectoral, its heart of Libyan desert glass, a testament to a cosmic event from millennia ago. Here, jewelry transcended mere adornment. It was a celestial narrative. Meanwhile, in the Indus Valley in Mesopotamia, craftsmen were not just adorning gold with stones, but were innovators at heart. They developed primitive drills using string and bow mechanisms and perfected the art of intaglio carving on seal stones. These pieces, oh how they dazzled with their beauty, yet they served a deeper purpose as identification signatures and sometimes as talismans of magic. The true marvel, perhaps, was the advent of lost wax casting, a technique that opened the door to complex hollow metal forms. Imagine the meticulous process: a wax model sculpted, then cloaked in clay, only to be melted away by heat, leaving a mold for molten metal to fill. The outcome: rings, earrings, and pendants, both light and ornate, whispering stories of their creation. By the era of the Etruscans and Greeks, jewelry had blossomed into an industry of its own. Workshops teemed with engravers, metalworkers, polishers, and gem cutters, each contributing to the symphony of creation. Designs were replicated with molds, and innovations like hinges, clasps, and mechanical lockets emerged not merely for luxury, but as symbols of technological prowess, trade networks, and human ingenuity. The rise of the jeweler was more than a craft. It was an engineering of identity, a silent code etched into every piece. Jewelry became both a craft and a language, telling tales of the hands that shaped it and the societies that wore it with pride. As ancient trade routes stretched across continents, these treasures became the silent witnesses to history's unfolding drama. As we delve deeper into the saga of human adornment, the tale of jewelry transcends mere personal expression or local ritual, unfurling into a narrative of global significance. It evolved, becoming a currency, a diplomatic tool, a universal commodity. Imagine a solitary gemstone, perhaps a lapis lazuli, journeying through countless hands, crossing the borders of kingdoms, whispering in myriad languages, until it finally rests upon the neck of a queen or adorns the hilt of a warrior's sword. This deep blue stone, more coveted than gold in the ancient world, was sourced solely from the treacherous mines of what we now call Afghanistan. Yet there it was in Mesopotamian temples, Egyptian tombs, and even the distant shores of Mycenae in Greece. Oh, the lengths to which ancient traders went navigating through mountain passes, tracing the sinuous curves of rivers and enduring the harshness of unforgiving terrain, all for the sake of beauty. Yes, but what did that beauty signify? It was about access, status, and connection. Jewelry through trade metamorphosed from a local product into a symbol that transcended cultures. The Phoenicians, with their swift ships, sailed from the Levant to North Africa and southern Europe, not only spreading their own exquisite glass beads, but also exotic goods. In their wake, Egyptian lotus designs blossomed in Iberia, while Assyrian motifs found new life in Mediterranean workshops. The Silk Road was another artery through which this rich narrative flowed, carrying pearls from the Persian Gulf, rubies from India, and jade from China, sometimes reaching as far as Rome. These were not mere materials. They were messages, emblems of political alliances and cultural exchanges. A Chinese jade hairpin in a Central Asian grave. What did it signify? A political union, perhaps. A Persian turquoise ring in a Greek market. What stories did it tell? Of empires colliding, cultures blending. And let us not forget, jewelry was the currency of diplomacy, a tool of tribute and bribery. Emperors exchanged it to forge treaties, rulers used it to placate invaders. Gold bracelets, belts inlaid with gemstones, diadems, studded with pearls. These were the pawns in the grand game of politics. Even among the common folk, jewelry held economic weight. In many ancient societies, it served as portable wealth, especially for women, a dowry, a treasure, a promise of security in a world of uncertainties. Imagine, if you will, a world where a simple piece of jewelry could whisper tales of survival and dreams. Ancient women might have adorned themselves with coin bracelets or rings, not just for beauty, but as a secret reserve, a lifeline in times of need. Picture a widow, her heart heavy with loss, selling a cherished necklace to navigate through famine, embark on a journey, or settle a pressing debt. This was more than mere adornment. It was a testament to human resilience and foresight. Jewelry in those times was not just an accessory, it was the world's inaugural universal symbol, transcending borders, adapting to local flavors, yet echoing a timeless message. This is precious, and I am bound to the forces that crafted its worth. From the dusty trails of caravans to the vast expanse of the sea, it journeyed with humanity. It was part ornament, part passport, part promise. But oh, how its role evolved. Initially a marker of status or divinity, jewelry eventually embraced one of its most enduring symbols: love, commitment, and memory. Long before the diamond engagement ring became a standard, humans adorned themselves with beads, rings, and bangles to signify bonds both romantic and sacred. In the sands of ancient Egypt, rings were not merely decorative gifts. They were contracts of union, circular in shape, symbolizing an unending cycle of love. Couples exchanged rings of woven reeds, ivory or gold, often slipping them onto the third finger of the left hand, believing this finger held a direct vein to the heart, the vein amorous. In the grandeur of ancient Rome, betrothal rings, known as annulus, were crafted from iron, symbolizing strength and permanence. Some bore engravings of the couple or clasped hands, a motif known as fad, which would endure through medieval Europe and beyond. These rings were more than tokens. They were legally binding, often linked to dowries, inheritances, and the very legitimacy of offspring. And let us not forget the myriad other cultures where romantic connections were marked through matching bracelets, necklaces, or amulets. In tribal societies, lovers might exchange talismans made from bone tooth or carved wood items believed to remain spiritually linked no matter where life might lead them. Oh, the distances that separated the wearers, each piece of jewelry a testament to the journeys they undertook. In the heart of India, the wedding ceremony transformed into a spectacle of gold and splendor. Imagine the bride resplendent in her finery, adorned with delicate nose rings, jingling anklets, shimmering bangles, and ornate hairpieces. Each piece wasn't merely for beauty, they were vessels of deep symbolism, carriers of prosperity, guardians of fertility, and shields against misfortune. The Mangal Sutra, that sacred black beaded necklace, was not just an accessory, but a declaration of marital union as poignant as a Western wedding ring. Across continents in the courts of Renaissance Europe, jewelry whispered secrets of love. Posy rings with their tender engravings carried romantic verses or hidden phrases. Some messages were so intimate they were inscribed inside the band, a private dialogue between lovers. Others concealed compartments, tiny sanctuaries for miniature portraits, locks of hair, or a whiff of perfume. Jewelry in this form became an intimate archive of emotions, a compact testament to memory and tension, and an unbreakable bond. Consider the profound essence of these adornments. They were the tangible expressions of the intangible. Trust, devotion, connection. These were worn next to the skin, cherished in moments of longing, and passed down through the ages, each piece whispering, "You are not forgotten. We remain linked." Long before vows were penned, they were etched into metal, worn with an unyielding pride. Beyond mere decoration, jewelry in ancient times was a bridge to the divine. Adornments were imbued with spiritual significance, not just symbols of wealth or beauty, but tools to invoke blessings, ward off evil, and denote sacred roles. A necklace was never just a necklace. It was a prayer, a shield, a silent dialogue with the gods. In ancient Mesopotamia, priests and priestesses donned intricately designed pectorals and headpieces during sacred rites. These were not mere accessories. They were spiritual uniforms crafted to reflect celestial entities or mythical beings. A single bead could symbolize a planet, a clasp might depict a deity's weapon. Jewelry was a way to physically embody the spiritual, to carry the cosmos close to the heart. In the cosmic dance of ancient civilizations, Egypt elevated the spiritual significance of adornments to unparalleled heights. High priests adorned themselves with artifacts crafted not merely for beauty, but to harness the celestial energies of the gods. Consider the Menat necklace a symbol of fertility and divine blessing, often worn by the priestesses of Hathor. In sacred rituals, it was not just worn but animated, shaken like a rattle to invoke the goddess's favor, a ritualistic plea for her benevolence. And then there was the iconic U.S. collar, its form echoing the majestic arc of the sun god Ra's daily journey across the heavens. In ancient India, jewelry transcended mere decoration, becoming a conduit for spiritual energy. Earrings, bangles, and anklets were more than accessories. They were tools to align the body's chakras, fostering a profound spiritual connection. Gold, with its luminous purity, was reserved for the divine, symbolizing immortality and the sacred. Statues of gods bedecked in gold stood as testaments to the belief that the divine deserved the earthly riches as their rightful tribute. Across the ocean, the Maya and Aztecs held jade in even higher esteem, valuing it above gold for its life-giving essence. Priests adorned themselves with jade pendants shaped in the likeness of deities, while rulers were interred with jade in their mouths, a sacred passage for their souls into the afterlife. Even in the nascent days of Christianity, jewelry served as a shield against the malevolent forces of plague demons and temptation. Amulets and medallions inscribed with crosses or images of saints were not just expressions of faith, but were potent protectors. This was jewelry not merely of piety, but of protection, a universal human quest for safety, favor, and meaning from the divine. As empires rose and crumbled, their jewels, imbued with sacred significance, endured, buried in the silent tombs, hidden in the forgotten ruins, or passed down through generations. These adornments are not just remnants of a bygone era. They are whispers from the past, a divine shimmer, a thread connecting us to the heavens, carried not in the vast sky, but intimately close around our necks. How profound, how enduring is this human desire to touch the infinite? What began as simple beads strung together has blossomed into something profound, a vessel of memory, a declaration of identity, and at times the only whisper left behind by those who once were. Imagine this in the ancient burial grounds, stretching from the fjords of Scandinavia to the sun-drenched sands of Nubia. Jewelry does not merely adorn, it speaks. A brooch might shout its wearer's cultural lineage, while a ring might whisper secrets of love and union. Watch 24-hour-35. A necklace crafted from eclectic materials might suggest tales of far-reaching trade routes or epic migrations. And how these treasures were worn draped across the chest, woven through the hair, or tucked away beneath the folds of garments, each style a reflection of self-perception, a wish to be remembered in a certain light. Remember, these were not mere trinkets. They were designed to outlive their owners. 124-57. Passed down through generations, these pieces were tokens of continuity amidst the ever-shifting sands of time. A mother's pendant might grace her daughter's neck on her wedding day. A warrior's ring could be the final gift to his son buried alongside him. Jewelry became not just an adornment, but a bridge spanning the chasm between past and present, often outlasting tales and towering monuments in its personal significance. In moments of upheaval or exile, when entire worlds crumbled, these small, precious items became lifelines. 125-23. As cities fell or people were forced to migrate, what could they take with them? Jewelry, with its dual role as both portable wealth and emotional anchor, was often the choice. A simple bangle might hold within it more profound significance than the entire home left in ruins. The materials themselves, gold that does not tarnish, gems that do not decay, ensured that these artifacts could endure millennia. 125-47. And in their endurance, they preserved not just the physical imprints of human hands, but the very essence of human emotion. Pride, love, ritual, and the pain etched into every scratch, clasp, and missing stone. Even in our modern era, we continue to echo these ancient instincts. We cherish the wedding rings passed down through family lines, wear necklaces bearing initials close to our hearts, and keep these treasures in boxes not merely for their monetary value, but for what they represent. Warranted 2609. They are our touchstones to history, our silent narrators of love, loss, and legacy. When we delve into the history of ancient jewelry, we're not merely exploring trends or the art of metalwork. No, we're delving into something far deeper, the very essence of human desire. The desire to be seen, to be shielded, to feel a sense of belonging, and above all, to leave a lasting imprint on the sands of time. Wrapped in gold, strung with shells, or cast in bronze, each piece tells a story of us, durable, personal, eternal. Imagine beneath the tranquil wheat fields, in the quiet roads of northern France, a secret lies hidden. A colossal city not built but carved directly into the soft chalk. Just a stone's throw from the village of Nas by the serene Somme River lies one of Europe's most enigmatic archaeological puzzles. This underground labyrinth, with over 300 rooms stretching over 3 kilometers, beckons with a mystery that captivates the soul. Descend merely 33 meters, and you're no longer in the rustic Picardy. You've entered a spectral city etched into the stone. It's deceptively simple to overlook. From the outside, there's just a modest entrance on a forested slope. But once enshrined, the cool air whispers secrets to you, and the corridors widen, twist, and open into chambers, stables, kitchens, even a chapel. Some rooms connect through corridors with low ceilings, while others stand alone, possibly for storage, or perhaps for reasons yet to be uncovered. It feels less like a mere cave and more like a village carved into the very heart of the underworld. What stirs the imagination isn't just the scale of this subterranean marvel, but the haunting silence regarding its origins. No definitive records reveal when or why the Nalu complex was first conceived. Speculation points to the Middle Ages, perhaps between the 9th and 13th centuries. But was it intended as a sanctuary, a monastic retreat, or something entirely different? The walls, though mute, seem to ponder these questions in their silent vigil. The intrigue deepens, doesn't it? What secrets does this silent city hold? And what tales might its stones whisper, if only they could speak? Imagine the desperate urgency that must have driven the local monks or villagers of olden hours to burrow into the earth. Perhaps it was the shadow of Viking longships on the horizon, or the thundering hooves of invaders during the 100 Years' War that spurred them into action. How ingenious they must have been to choose the soft, yielding chalk as their sanctuary. This underground labyrinth, a marvel of medieval engineering, was not just a hideout, but a testament to survival. The very air within these tunnels, whispers of clever concealment fires, could burn without snuffing out lives, and the network remained invisible from above, a secret world beneath the feet of unsuspecting foes. As time unfurled its tapestry, this subterranean city evolved into something far greater. Wells were sunk into the earth, their waters a lifeline. Smoke chimneys, cunningly disguised within tree trunks above, exhaled the secrets of the dwellers below. Even horses found solace in these depths, hidden from the prying eyes of enemies. Yet despite this architectural prowess, Nars slipped into the oblivion of time, only to be unearthed by a curious priest and amateur archaeologist in the 9th century. But this was merely the overture to its storied existence. What began as a sanctuary for the fearful transformed into a canvas for soldiers, a sanctuary during one of history's most brutal conflicts. Here beneath the carved walls, one can feel the enduring spirit of Nars. It wasn't fear that shaped these tunnels. It was an unwavering resolve to endure. To walk through Nars is to step into the very blueprint of an unseen civilization. The walls, cool and chalky, resonate with the echoes of countless pickaxes, each strike a testament to human determination. There are no scars of machinery, no evidence of rushed work. What one encounters instead is precision, purpose, and the profound accumulation of human effort. Generations labored here, carving out their refuge in the soft gray chalk, a task made easier by the material. Yet the true test was in the engineering. How does one construct an underground settlement that does not crumble? How do you ensure that the breath of life flows freely through its multi-level arteries without a whisper reaching those above? Have you ever wondered about the secrets that lie beneath our feet? The people of Now have unraveled one such mystery, a subterranean marvel that speaks volumes of human ingenuity and resilience. Imagine rooms, not just any rooms, but spaces meticulously arranged with a logic so precise it borders on the mystical. Here, living quarters are snug, warmed by the mere presence of bodies or the gentle flicker of firelight. Storage chambers, cool and dark, preserve sustenance for months on end, while communal halls echo with the sounds of a society not merely surviving, but thriving beneath the surface. Delve deeper, and you'll find entire sections dedicated to animals, especially horses, hinting that those who once inhabited this place planned for extended stays, not mere days, but weeks, perhaps even years. But what truly captures the imagination are the ventilation shafts, dozens of them like serpents, winding their way from the depths to the surface, cleverly concealed among the trees and underbrush. Some shafts, ingeniously disguised with plants or debris, ensured that the smoke from fires would dissipate into the forest canopy, leaving no trace for prying eyes. This site, a testament to time itself, might have taken centuries to carve out. Each room, each corridor added as necessity dictated, not by the hurried hands of forced labor, but by a community bound by purpose and patience. This was not a fortress built by command, nor a castle decreed by royalty. No, this was a sanctuary, a product of necessity, cooperation, and silent innovation. The craftsmanship here isn't about opulence, it's about efficiency. Rounded doorways, reinforced ceilings, and smooth walls speak of a beauty not in lavishness, but in the simplicity and strength of its design. There's a poetic justice in the geometry, in the repeated patterns, in the sheer human will that made Nayor not just a place, but a legacy. Why does Nayor endure? Because it wasn't merely carved from chalk. It was sculpted from a profound human instinct to safeguard, to sustain, and to brace for the unforeseen. While history keeps its secrets close, whispers suggest that monks with their vows of silence and dedication might have been among the first to call this underground haven their home. In the tumultuous tapestry of northern France's history, the Middle Ages painted a picture of constant upheaval. Vikings first in the Hundred Years' War brought turmoil to the land, and amidst this chaos, monastic communities became beacons of hope, carving out sanctuaries beneath their sacred chapels. Na, with its secluded embrace and labyrinthine underground expanse, epitomizes this protective spirit. The very architecture whispers tales of refuge. A central chapel adorned with a modest altar and an arching ceiling stands as a testament to spiritual solace. Though simple, its essence is profound, designed for the congregation, where the faint etchings on the walls might once have borne sacred verses or symbols now lost to the sands of time. This was no mere storeroom or bunker for defense. Na was a true sanctuary. While the monks may have initiated this subterranean retreat, they were not its only guardians. As the centuries unfurled their banners of war across the region, the local populace, the villagers, and peasants sought the embrace of Nayor. Imagine entire families seeking solace from the sieges and enemy raids that ravaged Picardy, finding a hidden haven beneath the earth. According to the rich tapestry of local lore, Na could shelter up to 3,000 souls at once. This was not merely a place of refuge. It was a hidden city, a pulsating heart of humanity beating in silence under the very feet of their adversaries. Picture the dark corridors alive with the hushed whispers of the hidden, the faint scent of smoke, mingling with the clink of pots and tools, the occasional hushed cry of a child, all unfolding in secrecy while peril prowled above. Yet, Naya offered more than mere safety. It provided dignity. Here people were not herded into caves like cattle. They had rooms, passageways, spaces to breathe, to pray, to live with a semblance of normalcy amidst chaos. Na was not just a place to survive. It was a place to live to hope to endure. Imagine the scene rules order and a hierarchy all in place. Who occupied which chamber, who kept watch over the shafts, who managed the meager supplies of food. These details are now echoes of the past, but the very architecture hints at a well-organized society, not one of disarray. Water 55. Indeed, Na was far more than a mere sanctuary. It was a hidden world, a parallel universe thriving in silence and self-sufficiency, not born of opulence, but of urgent need. This subterranean marvel sustained communities cloaked in secrecy from those above for centuries. It cradled monks' villagers, and perhaps entire lineages, shielding them from the ravages of wars and invasions. 1035-25. Yet as enigmatically as it was sculpted into existence, Na faded into oblivion. By the 18th century, its existence was but a whisper in the wind among the local populace. The entrance, once a gateway to safety, was now merely a tangle of roots and vines. The tales of its grandeur and utility diminished, swallowed not by the earth, but by the passage of time. How can a city simply vanish? It happens piece by piece, memory by memory. 1:35-55. With peace settling over northern France, the urgency for underground havens waned. People ventured back to their fields and farms, establishing lasting connections with the land above. Each generation told fewer stories, and soon no one thought to whisper to the next child that beneath their carefree steps lay a whole civilization carved from chalk. There's no trace of its use during the Napoleonic Wars or the French Revolution. 1:36-17. The 19th century barely acknowledged the existence of these tunnels, turning them into a myth. A bedtime story, a warning about secret chambers and spectral monks. Until in a twist of fate during the 1880s, curiosity rekindled the light on this hidden world. Father Ernest Danicourt, a Catholic priest with a passion for amateur archaeology, had caught the faint rumors. A shepherd boy speaking of a hollow sound underfoot was dismissed as mad by the locals, but Danicourt, relentless in his quest, set about clearing the debris and overgrown foliage from a peculiar depression in the landscape. What lay beneath astounded even the most hardened skeptics. In the depths, lit only by the dim glow of lanterns, and with rope, as his guide, he unearthed a labyrinth of rooms, each more intricate than the one before. 37:06. Imagine he was the first soul in perhaps 150 years to tread those silent corridors. With each sweep of his broom, every mark on his map, he pieced together the enigma of this subterranean city. Eventually, he threw open its gates to the curious public who marveled at the vastness hidden beneath their very feet. How could such a spectacle remain unseen for so long? Yet even Danicourt, with all his dedication, could not fathom the true origins of this mysterious place. 31. The timelines from the medieval era were mere guesses, and the purpose of certain chambers eluded understanding. Why were some passages sealed off? Who had chiseled out the narrow, deeper tunnels? The more he explored, the more questions emerged from the chalky silence. Nayers had returned not as a vibrant community, but as an enigmatic puzzle, a stage left hauntingly empty, waiting for actors who would never return. 1037-56. This city remembered not through the pages of history, but through its silent corridors, its lingering shadows, and its rooms that had patiently awaited the return of life, was soon overshadowed by a new terror. Just decades after Father Danicourt's rediscovery of Niort, the tranquil fields of Pissade were ravaged by the ferocity of the First World War. The once peaceful lands of northern France transformed into a nightmarish maze of mud barbed wire and artillery craters. 1:38-22. Yet as chaos reigned above, something miraculous occurred below. Niort once again became a secret haven. Soldiers from France, Britain, Australia, and even Canada, part of the deadly Somme offensive, found themselves near the village of Nos. Drawn by shelter curiosity or perhaps a fleeting moment of peace, they ventured into the depths of this hidden sanctuary. In the tranquil recesses beneath the cacophony of war, where the rumble of thunder above was a distant memory, the soldiers found solace. Yet they did more than simply visit. They imprinted their essence upon the very soul of the place. Over 2,000 inscriptions now grace the soft chalk walls of Nior, each one a testament to their presence carved with deliberate care. Names, ranks, regiments, dates, and even the whispers of their hometowns fill these subterranean galleries, transforming them into a living guestbook, an underground chronicle of human spirit and resilience. Some signatures are ornate, adorned with military insignia, speaking of pride and identity. Others are stark in their simplicity, like Tom 1916 or J. Carter 14th Battalion. These were not acts of defacement, but rather poignant memoirs penned by men who faced the grim possibility of never seeing their homes again. Predominantly, these soldiers hailed from the Australian Imperial Force, their marks among the most numerous. Historians suggest these men were brought to Nior for brief respites or as part of reconnaissance missions, perhaps finding in its depths a reminder of home, reminiscent of the Jenolan Caves in New South Wales. Or perhaps it was the sheer awe of escaping the infernal trenches into an ancient stony city that moved them to leave their mark. Some inscriptions were etched just days before the cataclysmic Battle of the Somme began in July 1916. Tragically, many of those names did not return to Australia, England, or Canada. Yet their writings endured, their voices echoing through the dim corridors, not as phantoms, but as resonant echoes of lives once lived. In the modern era, these inscriptions have served a poignant purpose. Researchers have traced family histories, reconnecting descendants with soldiers lost to time, turning what was once a forgotten refuge into a living memorial. Not through grand monuments or processions, but through the intimate, personal act of handwriting, etched into stone by those staring into the abyss. In this hushed silence, their words continue to whisper, "I was here, I mattered. Don't forget me." What renders Nior so profoundly haunting isn't merely its vastness or its mystery, but these inscriptions, thousands of them, carved not by the hands of medieval monks, but by soldiers, each stroke a declaration of existence, a cry against oblivion. In the haunting quiet of the tunnels beneath the ravaged fields of World War I, a poignant tapestry of human essence unfolds not by the hands of refugees, but by those of young soldiers ensnared in a conflict that had obliterated all traces of normalcy. 41, Joe 6. These weren't mere scratches or idle sketches. They were deliberate, painstaking, and profoundly human. Each name etched into the stone cries out, refusing to fade into oblivion. Over 2,000 such inscriptions have been meticulously cataloged, many bearing names, ranks, battalion numbers, and dates. Some inscriptions are precise, like Pinch Kelly, 3rd Battalion, IAF, March 1916. Plus 4132. Others remain enigmatic, merely initials, a year, or solitary words like home or peace. The chalk walls transformed into canvases of memory, each letter carved with the same precision they used to handle their rifles. Soldiers often etched their names in clusters, groups of men from the same battalion side by side. In one part of the tunnels, Australian soldiers from the 1st and 2nd Divisions turned entire walls into unofficial regimental memorials. This wasn't about vanity. It was a desperate plea to be remembered. In the maelstrom of war, there was something profoundly grounding about leaving a mark, a quiet defiance against the looming specter of death. Some went further, carving their hometowns, places like Sydney, Perth, Manchester, into the walls. They left behind crosses, kangaroos, or military insignia. 142-24. A few even inscribed short, poignant messages. "Goodbye, France," one soldier wrote, while another simply declared, "Still alive." And then there are the dates, many from 1916, etched just weeks or days before the Battle of the Somme, where countless lives would be extinguished in mere hours. The eerie juxtaposition of these peaceful carvings with the impending slaughter above makes one feel as if time itself holds its breath before the storm. 40-53. Today, these inscriptions capture the attention of military historians and genealogists, resurrecting names once lost to time, echoing through the chambers of history with a clarity that defies the passage of years. In the wake of history's relentless march, a profound reconnection unfolds. Some descendants, their hearts brimming with both pride and melancholy, now tread the very same subterranean passages their forebears once knew. Their fingers, trembling with emotion, trace the letters carved into the stone, each line a whisper from the past, each curve a testament to lives lived and lost. Imagine the awe, the solemnity as they stand where their grandfathers or great uncles once stood, where laughter might have echoed and tears might have fallen before they emerged back into the cacophony of war. Oh, what stories these walls could tell. Now, this underground labyrinth transcends its identity as a mere archaeological site. It has become a living document, not of paper but of stone, a place where the past refuses to be silenced, where the spirits of those who once breathed here still linger, their presence palpable, their stories untold, yet felt. After the tumult of the Great War subsided, now fell into a hush once again. The soldiers who had once filled these chambers with life and noise were gone, many alas forever. The city beneath the earth reverted to its silent, chalky embrace, the names they had etched slowly fading beneath layers of dust, soot, and the relentless damp. In the peace that followed, the underground city was revisited yet often with a casual curiosity rather than the reverence it deserved. It was reopened to the public during the interwar years, and again after the Second Global Conflict, advertised in the tourism brochures of the 1950s and 60s as a quaint medieval curiosity. But did these visitors truly comprehend the sanctity of the ground they trod upon? Most wandered through the dim, echoing corridors, oblivious to the silent, sacred names etched into the walls, names that spoke of sacrifice and survival. Yet this site, a repository of history, began to suffer from neglect. The gentle chalk was scorched by harsh lighting, modern graffiti marred the ancient inscriptions, and the relentless march of tourists brought dust mold and vibrations that chipped away at its fragile structure. And there, amidst the souvenir shops and superficial narratives, lay the inscriptions, hiding in plain sight, their significance buried, waiting for someone to truly see, to truly listen. Imagine the profound silence of nearly a century, a hush that enveloped the forgotten whispers of World War I soldiers until 2014. That year, as if the earth itself longed to speak, it unveiled its long-held secrets. A team under the guidance of the French archaeologist Gilles Priot was conducting what was meant to be a routine survey at the site of now. What they encountered was no mere collection of scattered names. It was an expansive, undocumented archive of war etched by the hands of those who had faced the abyss. Gilles Priot, with a heart tuned to the echoes of history, realized that now was not merely a medieval refuge or a quirky tourist destination. No, it was a time capsule, a sacred annex to the very essence of the war. This revelation sparked a fervor of renewed interest in now. Conservation initiatives surged, digital scans were meticulously created, and the graffiti, those poignant signatures of lives once lived, were cataloged for posterity. Families from across the globe, from Australia to Canada, journeyed to witness the names of ancestors who had never returned. Yet the silence of those lost decades still whispers through the halls. For nearly a century, the most heartfelt messages of now lay dormant, not concealed by secrecy, but by our own neglect. Is there not a tragedy in this, that these soldiers in their final moments carved their names into stone only for us to forget to seek them out? The rediscovery of Now's wartime graffiti in 2014 transformed everything. What had once been marketed as an underground curiosity was now recognized for its true essence. A sacred chronicle of interrupted lives etched into the earth by men who knew death was near. Overnight, Now shifted from a mere tourist attraction to a site of profound international historical significance. Leading this monumental rediscovery was none other than Gilles Priot, whose initial mission was a simple study of preservation. But as he and his team delved deeper into the tunnels, they uncovered not just medieval architecture, but a vast World War I archive, not recorded on paper, but inscribed into the very walls themselves. Over 2,000 names were found, many from the heart of the conflict, each a testament to a life touched by war. The Australian Imperial Force, with a precision that spoke volumes of their time and dedication, chiseled their names and thoughts into the chalky depths of Naor between 1916 and 1917. Described by Prelo as the largest collection of First World War inscriptions ever unearthed, this was no mere fleeting passage. No, it was a relentless flow of brave souls seeking refuge from the chaos above each, leaving a whisper of their essence in stone. The revelation of this underground haven ignited a global response, a collective gasp at the realization of what lay beneath the Earth's surface. Researchers with a fervor akin to treasure hunters began to cross-reference these names with military records, piecing together the identities, units, and fates of those who had passed through. Families in Australia, the UK, and Canada, some for the first time, discovered the poignant journey of their forebears. Imagine the shock, the sudden connection as they learned that the names on their medals, the signatures on telegrams, were etched into the chalk walls a world away. As this narrative unfolded, efforts to restore and preserve Naor intensified. Sections of the subterranean city were meticulously scanned using state-of-the-art 3D imaging. Lighting was adjusted to shield the delicate inscriptions, and displays were revamped to encapsulate the site's burgeoning significance. Yet in a poignant twist, some inscriptions were sealed off, protected from the eager touch of visitors to prevent the slow erosion of history. What emerged from this endeavor was not merely an archaeological story, but a profound reconnection. People didn't come to admire the stone walls. They came to touch history, to trace a carved name with their fingertips, feeling, if just for a fleeting moment, the pulse of a long-departed soldier. It wasn't about merely honoring the dead. It was about listening to their silent stories, understanding their last moments of reflection. Through these efforts, Naor was lifted from obscurity, no longer a forgotten whisper, but a resonant message patiently waiting in the darkness for the world to remember. Today, the underground city of Na stands as more than a marvel of medieval engineering or a wartime relic. It is a symbol of human resilience, creativity, and the peculiar intimacy between life and death. Silence. 149:10. It stands not as a solitary monument to a singular moment, but as a complex, layered testament to the tapestry of human history. Each passageway resonates with the echoes of bygone eras, their fears, aspirations, and decisions. Originally envisioned perhaps as a secluded monastic sanctuary, it transformed into a sprawling underground haven, then into an obscure curiosity, and ultimately into an unintentional war memorial, etched by those who bore witness to its evolution. 149:38. Thus, Na defies simple categorization. It transcends being merely of a historical site. It is a psychological sanctuary that has cradled the prayers, the dread, the daily routines, and the repose of countless souls over the centuries. The cold, chalky walls have inhaled the very breaths of monks, villagers, and soldiers, each imprinting their essence into its depths. In our modern age, Naor has evolved into a sanctuary of contemplation, particularly for the progeny of those World War I soldiers who left their indelible marks upon its walls. 07. To visit the tunnels today is not merely to step onto an ancient battlefield or into a museum. It is to immerse oneself in a collective memory, once buried and now revived, breathing anew. Here you traverse not just through stone, but through the very narratives of those who once passed this way. It has also fostered a spirit of international collaboration with French and Australian historians, jointly endeavoring to align the inscriptions with military records. 50:31. School children brought through these hallowed corridors experience history in its rawest form, learning from the tangible scars left by those who, in moments of uncertainty about their own survival, carved their names into history. Perhaps the most profound lesson Na imparts is about legacy. It was constructed not for glory, but out of sheer necessity. 150:54. Yet it has endured its quiet persistence, becoming its most enduring strength. It whispers to us that history isn't just recounted in grand orations or through monumental statues. It's etched into the chalk, concealed in shadowy recesses, patiently awaiting rediscovery. Na does not proclaim loudly, it does not shout, but its message is all the more powerful for its subtlety. It endures, and through its persistence, it speaks to the timeless human desire to etch significance into the shadows we dread the most. 5121. To leave a legacy, to whisper in the void that cries out, "We existed, we made a difference." Oh, how the human spirit yearns for connection, for validation. As we conclude this journey, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support. Your presence has been our beacon. Could you leave a comment, a like, share our story, or perhaps subscribe? Let us continue this exploration of the human experience together. Thank you for being part of our voyage.